You know, you guys can actually play those things. I mean, that's extraordinary.
That was Sandy Nelson on drums there.
Yeah, miracles. Wonderful.
He's making miracles over here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God, that's great. And you know what? I was just thinking, we have to stop for a commercial. We don't. Torrance Toyota, thank you. Can we have a round of applause? Is Jan here? Where is he? This is oh God, that's Jan. This is the guy responsible right here. That's why you're not hearing any commercials tonight. Give him a round of applause, will you? Thank you. If you're looking for a new tour van, this is the man right here, okay? John, let's talk about this song that you just played, Face to Face, and I'd like to quote a lyric if you don't mind.
Please, yeah.
You're
feeding back to him.
We began at the very first spring, how the promise will come when the promise is made. Yes?
Yeah. I think that came out of a meeting that I had. I was over in Tennessee with my wife Jane for Christmas. And we met this guy who had the most extraordinary life. And he told us about how he went to prison for various things and came out really believing in one God, you know. And he started getting involved in the American Promise, which is you know, the little red truck. What do you call that little red truck? It's the kids have it, you know.
You mean like flyer?
Red wagon. Is it Powell? General Powell, he's involved, he's the leader of the American Promise about taking care of children.
I see.
And when we were up there doing the song, I was really remembering how my children have taught me so much in my life, and that children in general, if we listen hard enough, they'll teach us who we really are. And that was part of the idea of the song, that when we come face to face with the reality of how beautiful children can be and how we sometimes destroy them and break them. And that was the idea behind the song, that we have to come face to face with all these things eventually. And it's a good time to be learning that for me. And I thought a lot of the lyrics that I do when I'm working are based on what I'm feeling and what I'm going through emotionally. So it just comes out in that idea of a song.
You, the band is always, and I've turned to this band over the years thousands of times. If I were playing a set of songs that had a spiritual message or a questioning message to it, I could always go to Yes and find, you know, a lyric that would work for me. And there was a time when rock and roll in general had that kind of message to it. And then it didn't. But you guys have always, not that that's the only thing that you sing about, certainly, but yeah. there is an undercurrent. There is you're not afraid to delve into that deep part of the pond.
We were touched by the Beatles, all of us. And All You Need Is Love was like an anthem for the 60s for a lot of musicians, you know, and Pet Sounds, you know, the Beach Boys songs. And so the Beatles had this incredible feeling coming through millions of people all over the world, that all you really need is love. And the idea to carry that on was a musical challenge or a lyrical challenge for me when I started working with Chris and then Steve on lyrical content, because we wanted to continue waving that flag. In fact, one of the songs we still do on stage, which we're going to sing in a minute, halfway through, there is this part where we sing Give Peace a Chance, you know. And it's the song we'll sing for you later on. I've Seen All Good People. The idea is that we're still hopefully carrying on that flag of there is love, there is peace, there is light, and that comes through a lot in our realization of who we are. And you know, we go through a lot of group therapy on working together as a team. You know, we call it group therapy, emotional therapy, and musical therapy. But a lot of it's got a lot to do with us finding our way through this career, if you like, you know. And a lot of that comes out of believing in what we write about. And I'm so thankful that the guys in the band believe in me enough to let me write the way I do, because it's a tender area, you know. You're easily shot down, you know. It's the way it works.
Well, you're really exposing yourself. You have to open yourself up, because when you're talking about the spirit or your heart or beliefs, it doesn't get much closer than that. It's not like talking about the back of a 57 Chevy, which is fine, but I mean, this is an area of rock and roll. You know, when it came out, rock and roll was the devil's music.
Yeah.
You know, this was like the worst scourge that ever hit the earth. And how ironic that it turns out that was the music that brought us All You Need Is Love, Give Peace a Chance, I've Seen All Good People, and on and on and on. And my question to you, I guess, is, looking back on it now 30 years later, how much of that message, how much good do you think the music has done? How much do you think we've changed or not changed because of it?
Well, we totally have evolved through music. It's something that's become part of our life, each individual all over the world. We're playing around the world, and people are coming to see us who've waited 25 years to see this band. And there's other musicians out there doing exactly the same thing as us, like taking music to people, and it's an ancient knowledge, it's an ancient healing knowledge. The idea of minstrel, we're a bunch of minstrels, we're a bunch of nomads. And we're out there touring all over the world, really just to make people happy every night, you know, and that's what keeps us going. And it's sort of a healing power. It's a sacred thing as well.
It's a sacred thing. Let me get some questions from you guys. This is a rare opportunity. Do you got one? Excuse me, just a second. Step over here. Would be the guy on the other side of the room, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Go ahead.
John, Steve, how long have you guys been playing together? The 30 years? Were you guys formed couple years before your first album? How to word this question right? Well, I know. Just how did you guys meet? How did you guys meet? And were you guys? Did you go to school together? Did you guys grow up?
No.
No, I'll answer that. Steve was in a very well-known underground band in the end of the 60s called Tomorrow, and I used to go and watch them often when they played at the Friday night UFO Club, and Steve was a very impressive force. And when we split up with Peter Banks, he was our immediate first choice.
Yeah, I actually saw Steve in the Speakeasy playing with Bodast, his next band.
Right, yeah.
And I was standing there, mouth open, can't believe that this guy's playing the way he was. And it was within a month that we actually then met Steve. And he joined, and it was...
Yeah, I'd got fed up with Bodast. It was not a band that was having a lot of luck, and I felt I was, better off kind of leaving it. So I did, and, then Chris called me, and he'd been speaking with John and the band, and I went down and played with the guys, more or less the next day, and things started to happen, and we started to talk about the Yes album, and we went away to the country and wrote the Yes album together. So it was a bit like how we want to get back to working together closer now. So it was a good way to start.
And finally, after 30 years, you achieved your goal. You're here in my living room. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Tom. Hello, my question's for Igor. You're a fantastic... Igor, right? I'm sorry.
Oh, Igor.
Igor.
You are a fantastic keyboardist.
We all go someday.
You're a fantastic keyboardist in your own right, and we saw you on the last tour, and we were amazed with your abilities. When the opportunity arose to come in to play with Yes, knowing the shoes that you were coming in, not necessarily to feel, but knowing the people that you had replaced and their talents, were you almost intimidated or overwhelmed by knowing who... seeing as you were such a big fan of theirs in the first place?
Excuse me, but thanks a lot. I was going to ask that question. Jesus. Go ahead.
You don't know him. He wasn't intimidated at all.
Well, that's not true. That's not fully true. I wasn't intimidated by the fact that there was Rick Wakeman or Patrick Moraz. I was intimidated by the fact that they're so well known and so much loved by you people and millions of others. And my main concern was, how are you going to take me? Are you going to be screaming, hey, where's Rick? Or or you're just going to really listen to it and say, you know, maybe this guy is not that bad. And I'm very privileged to be here. I love being here with this band, especially after this last album when I got a chance to write and co-write some music with the rest of the members. And it just opened my ears and taught me so much. So intimidation, no. But trying to be as good as I possibly can, that was my main goal.
I like this guy. All right. Give him a round of applause. Very good answer.
Where the hell did that?
Good answer. Before we get to the last song, I have to ask you, John, about you were involved in a project called Requiem for the Americas. One of my favorite pieces. I use it all the time on a show I do called Headsets, and I want to know, where did you get this interest in the American Indian? Because I know you have a deep interest in Native Americans.
Well, I was flying in to work with Chris and Trevor and Alan on the Big Generator album, and I never ever really wanted to live in Hollywood and work here, but I was set up to come here and work on the album. So I decided, as I was flying in, I decided to learn and try to understand the Native American culture, and I was very, very, very fortunate to meet certain people at the right time to go on a sort of dream quest. And I'm still on it on many different levels, learning about their history and how, you know, we were taught when we were kids that they were heathens, which is all sad, you know. And they have a great culture, they have a great knowledge of God and Jesus and many other Christ energies. And that's one of the great things to learn about Native American culture. And I put it into words on that album. And I was privileged to work with Jonathan Elias on that album, because it's a beautiful idea, and I'm happy that you enjoyed it.
If you guys get a chance, it's kind of a rare album to find. It's called Requiem for the Americas, and I highly recommend it. You ready to play us another one?
Yeah,
right.
I think so. Are we gonna sing?
You're listening to 95.5 KLOS, commercial free by Torrance Toyota. Ladies and gentlemen, yes.